Okay, here's what I've done so far on the passenger side after I removed the wall. I got this corner was completely gone, capped in. I've got this piece of rocker. I've got to do a smaller piece up from here up to about here of the inner rocker. I put this piece in, but I put this piece in, it used to be about down to here, but then I realized that all this had holes through it, so it wasn't worth keeping, so I cut it out square, and I fixed the side where the e-brake was ripping the tunnel by pulling it. And what I think I'm going to do is square this piece up of here like a cross, then cut this piece off, even though I'm going to need some to fill in there, and just put my flat plate in all the way up to where the seat is, after I put a little piece in here to fill up the rocker. Then I'm going to put a 1/4 inch right angle on here to attach it into the inner rocker, and the piece will basically go over or down a little bit, then straight across there. Got the rust encapsulating primer on the inside of the frame rail. Knocked it frame rail out, the surface loose rust with a wire wheel. Waiting for that to dry. Alright, that's the panel I've made for this back section up to where the first legs start for the seat and the seat belt bracket. That's what it's going to look like. I'm going to have to pull up this side, or I don't know, I'll check once it's done if it needs a filler plate. It might need a filler plate up through there. I don't want to bring it up too much. The edge. You don't know about these are fantastic. You get a nut driver and just screw these down temporarily to keep your plug welds down, and then when you're done plug welding, you remove them and they keep everything nice and tight. There's that key 45 I told you about that holds on the wall. I've got it to clamp down the metal as well. Nice. This floor pan swoops up in the corner, and that's my rig to hold it up tight. I jacked it up in the corner to bend it up so I'm sitting on a brick precariously. But yeah, that seems right up against there. Now I just gotta tack it. We'll be good as far as it staying in there. Here's the upper side of that precariously held together rig I got going on down there. Looks pretty tight to me. Didn't line up anymore. Didn't think it would, because the floors are a lot flatter than what they were to begin with, and over there it pulls up a little bit because I bent the floor up so I didn't have to make a huge fill panel. But this wall would not line up, so I cut the bottom out of it right where I'm going to use these spot weld holes as alignments, and I cut the bottom out of it using a electric shear, and the electric shear cuts off pieces that are about this thick. They're about 1/4 inch, but it's perfectly even. And what I'm going to do now is take this, and that looks like it'll clear, put this back up here and weld it on, get it going on straight, and that should give me enough clearance once I weld the bottom back on for it to be spot welded in its original locations and still have all the support, but be about 1/4 inch smaller this way, so it can compensate from where I put the 16 gauge metal in. Well, this is what I've got done on the passenger side. I shortened that wall down there since I put a thicker metal in, plus the floor is a little bit higher than what it was. And got all behind there done, and all the way up here and up into there. So I've got the entire passenger and driver side done now. Well, after it's all said and done, not counting the cargo area because I still got to do that, this is how much of the floor to back there that I had to replace, and this is how much I could save all the way up into the driver's side. I'm wanting to still cut out this piece, see where it's pulled up. That was me trying to get these bolts on the bottom out, which just won't, and the metal's super thin, but it's an odd shape and I can't use 16 there, so I'm gonna have to get like 18 so I can bend it into the odd curve it needs to be to get to where I can mount the shifter for the transfer case on it. That's why that's kind of pulled up. I was using a hammer trying to hammer a bolt onto this with an impact, and it just ripped it loose because it's so thin. So I'm going to cut that out and replace that, but it'll be fine for right now. But yeah, that's the floor pretty much. As far as front floors go, about 75% of it was replaced. Well, that was fun. I pulled it all in one whole unit. What I need to replace on this, I don't know if I've expressed this in another video, isn't so much the clutch. The clutch is just fine. It was the pressure plate. The fingers on the pressure plate were losing their spring tension. So it would work fine and disengage when you hit the clutch when it was cold, but once it got heat soaked into those fingers, they lost their tension and it wouldn't completely disengage, but the clutch was completely engaged. So you had to stay out of first and put it a lot in the second, because where it was partially disengaged, you could get it in the second, but first was just way too low, and it was always constantly slipping a bit, like where you're have the clutch completely in, but it's still partially touching once it would warm up. So it was causing it like you were slipping the clutch to take off, but you weren't, you were at a stop. So the pressure plate needs replaced, but I got the whole kit, so I'm gonna go that route. Got everything taped up because it looks like I have an oil pan or a rear main leak. I'm gonna replace both. I'm sure they need replaced at $235,000, and I bet they haven't ever been replaced. But I'm gonna go get some degreaser. I would pressure wash it here, but I blew up my pressure washer the other day. Don't know why. It was running just fine and then just locked up full of oil. No idea what happened to it. So get some degreaser and degrease this, and it'll be good to go there. Here's the new clutch and pressure plate and slave cylinder. I measured the old clutch. It was 7.07 millimeters, and the new one was 8.35 millimeters, I believe. So there was some wear on it, but not a huge amount. It was mainly these fingers were out their spring tension, so they weren't disengaging. I also bought this. It's the advanced adapter. It's to replace the line has this quick disconnect on it. That's that quick disconnect that doesn't really work worth crap if it gets any salt in the actual line, and Mopar doesn't remake the quick disconnect. So you screw this on, then you get to a normal line that just screws on. I actually didn't buy this through advanced adapters. I found it through, I think it's like Morris Off-Road or something like that. I could, or Morris 4x4. I can't remember the name, but I found it with a discount, like $20 cheaper than what Advanced Adapters was selling it on their website, plus with free shipping. So definitely look into that. I'll put the link of where I bought this in the description, and if you look around you can find a discount code for them either by entering your email and signing up for their newsletter, and they often run free shipping as well. So if you need to replace this on your Cherokee and you have that stupid disconnect thing and it doesn't work, buy that, and that'll fix your problems. And get it from the website I put in the description, or find it on another website, because buying it direct from the manufacturer is way more expensive than anybody else on the internet has it for. I want to show you under here the actual floor pans. Well, I've got this out. There's the clutch. I got 2 bolts that are still on there, but my impact lost its battery charge, and I couldn't get them out off a regular wrench because it was just wanting to turn over the motor. But you can see where it's been leaking oil. There's some on the back. I might try to wish that off if it rains. I don't want to wish it off unless it rains because I don't want to get the ground wet unless I have to. We're in fall and it takes like 2 to 3 days for it to dry right here. So yeah, but here's, while I have this up, these seams right here where there's an overlap, I'm gonna weld those, plus I need to trim. I made these panels a little bit bigger and I don't want that because that's just gonna cause problems later down the road, so I'm gonna trim all these. And here's this side, that's what I was telling you about, that I wanna replace this piece because it looks kind of rough. Wish I could just find this whole thing, but right now all the and here's the frame rail, all the used service junkyards. This needs some weld put in here, but I couldn't get to it because of the cross member, so I'm gonna weld it up in there and just fill that and grind it out. But yeah, I can't get this, which would be a normal easy part to find, but oh, the self-service junkyards aren't they don't have any right now within like 50-mile radius. I could go 80 miles and get one, but that's a lot of work for that, because I'd like, as I said, to either make this piece, or if I can find one that's not rusty, I'll just cut the whole thing out and pop it in mine and go from there. Also gonna weld these seams up through here too. You can see how much of an overlap I have, about 1/8 of an inch. But yeah, this is the floor pan, if you wondered. It's not too bad. That's the only part we could save here on the driver's side. It just needs knocked off. I'm gonna put chassis saver on it. And way back there, I still gotta replace the rear cargo floor area. I got that there for sitting on my porch, so I went and picked up the steel for it. 4x4 sheet should be more than enough. But I want to get this done because if push comes to shove and we get hit and it never gets warm again, I can always just deal with the rear cargo area not being done, but I need the clutch done. And I really don't mind welding if it's a little cold out, but I don't want to be climbing around on the ground getting this clutch out. So I did that first. And yeah, we'll knock all the rust off of this, put some chassis saver on it, knock out this transmission tunnel I got at the original undercoating, and put chassis saver on it, and we'll be set. Get the carpet back in. It's a little messy. The stains won't come out, so I vacuumed it, tray clean up stain cleaner. I'll have to find another set of carpets. They were pretty stained when I got them. When I got the car in the first place. Wasn't something I did. Looked like somebody dumped pop in here at some point in time. But got everything done. That hole is also where the fire happened, that I had to cut out the carpet on the side of the road because the carpet caught on fire because it was touching the exhaust. So I'm going to get a new section of carpet anyways, but right now I wanted to get it together. This boot, if you're looking for one, they don't make the one for the Cherokee. You gotta get a TJ one, and that's out of a TJ. 3 of the bolts line up. This one, this one, and this one. That one I had to drill a hole for. And you have to separate your shifter, which is a hard task at that. I used 2 pickle forks. I put the bottom part of the shifter that's down here in a vise, and I used 2 pickle forks to separate it. Then to get it back together, I put it upside down. That's what these marks are from, in the vise, and tapped it back in because it just won't slide together. But yeah,